Stolen by my mentor, the cold-blooded plan that ruined him financially. Was it justified revenge or overkill? Imagine this. 7 years of your life, your ideas, your very essence swindled by the one person you thought would support you, the guy you let in behind the curtain. So here's the deal. I'm Daniel, the dude who had his whole world turned upside down thanks to a massive betrayal, and I'm about to lay out my journey of reclaiming what was rightfully mine. I wasn't dreaming up some Hollywood revenge flick. I was plotting the thorough financial obliteration of my former mentor. My former boss and mentor, Arthur Vance, stole my multi-million-dollar software patent and left me bankrupt. I didn't sue him. That's for amateurs. Instead, for 5 long years, I operated from the shadows, reconstructing my empire meticulously, and when the time was right, I strategically acquired the 3 biggest companies that were propping up his failing business. Today, I'm going to walk you through the precise, cold-blooded corporate strategy I used to reduce my mentor's entire business to nothing without ever stepping into a courtroom. This story starts 7 years ago. I was a brilliant but naive 23-year-old engineering graduate. My mentor was Arthur Vance, 55 the charismatic owner of a tech consultancy. He was the professor. I had designed an algorithm, a powerful piece of software that could optimize large warehouse logistics, cutting picking times by 40%. It was a market game changer. Arthur convinced me I was too young and inexperienced to handle the legal and financial burden. Arthur, Daniel, you're an engineer, not a lawyer. Let me take the patent temporarily. I'll finance it, I'll defend it, and you'll get 50% of the shares in our new venture. Trust me, son. It's the only way to protect us. I signed the papers. I signed away everything. Within a month, the partnership vanished. Arthur registered the patent under his existing company, Omnisys, and pushed me to a low-paid consulting role. When I confronted him, he dismissed me with a cold laugh. You were compensated for your time, Daniel. The IP belongs to the company. Let's be real. Calling myself emotionally wrecked was a massive understatement. I was basically spiraling into a pit of despair, feeling utterly crushed after losing everything I had poured my soul into, all because of a dude I thought had my back. I was in freefall, spiraling into a deep abyss of despair after losing everything I had devoted my life to, all because of a guy I believed was my ally. I was forced to leave with no shares, no ownership of my own work, and 0 capital. My lawyer confirmed the awful truth. Arthur used legal clauses that made my transfer of the IP voluntary. 2 years of being utterly bankrupt and spiraling emotionally, it was a horrific roller coaster. Going to court was completely out of the question. It would only bleed me dry and drag me further into the pit of despair he'd created. Going that route would have drained every last penny from me. My game plan for revenge had to be tactical and discreet, like an assassin quietly closing in on their target. My mission wasn't solely to take back the market. It was to utterly obliterate Arthur's whole money-making machine. So I decided to go underground, adopting different aliases to keep my new life under wraps. I didn't copy the old code. After countless sleepless nights, I finally managed to rebuild an entirely new, superior AI-driven version of the optimizer that left my old software in the dust. Not only was it faster and more efficient, but I also branded it with the name Horizon, symbolizing a fresh start away from the shadows of the past. The legal paperwork was airtight this time.
Stolen by my mentor. The cold-blooded plan that ruined him financially. Was it justified revenge or overkill? I pitched Horizon to a smaller, hungry venture capital firm, Aurora Investments. I demanded total anonymity. My pitch was simple. Arthur Vance's software is the market standard, but it's obsolete. I have the upgrade. The market is ripe for disruption. After securing funding, I made the strategic choice not to publicly sell Horizon. Instead, I decided to play it smart and lay low. Instead, my team spent 2 years in market analysis. We discovered Arthur's Achilles heel. 70% of Omnisys' annual revenue came from maintenance and support contracts, with just 3 massive old-school clients in the logistics sector: Alpha, Beta, and Gamma Logistics. This concentration was his fatal flaw. Arthur had become lazy. He hadn't updated my stolen software in years. He was just milking these 3 giants with outdated, expensive support contracts. He was vulnerable. I wasn't about to swipe his product. My plan was to snatch his customer base right from under him. My VC firm, Aurora, had the capital and the quiet reputation needed for this type of hostile maneuver. Sure, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma were sizable clients, but they were also these old-school, family-owned businesses that were way behind on the tech curve. Perfect targets for my takeover. Their owners were looking toward retirement. Aurora approached Alpha Logistics. Our offer was comprehensive: a full acquisition, immediate capital for modernization, and the free integration of a next-generation proprietary logistics solution, Horizon. The owner saw retirement, and the deal was too perfect to refuse. The first domino fell. Once Alpha was ours, the strategy shifted. We approached Beta and Gamma as external consultants, pointing out the major vulnerabilities of Arthur's antiquated Omnisys software. We showed them that Omnisys was incompatible with new inventory tracking standards. The choice was clear: sell and modernize, or watch Alpha crush them. Within 6 months, we quietly closed on Beta and Gamma. I operated like a phantom in my own business, masterminding everything from a secret remote office, never revealing myself. When the deal with Gamma closed, I was sitting on a new consortium of logistics companies. They were now my 3 largest assets, and they were no longer Arthur's clients. The market was secure. The acquisitions were finalized in secret. Arthur, oblivious, was still sending his monthly support invoices to the accounting departments of Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. And just like that, my revenge was served cold, right through the inbox. My new legal team drafted the termination letters. They were sent simultaneously on a Monday morning. The letters arriving on Arthur's desk at 9 a.m., all with the same dry corporate language. Legal counsel, distribution consortium, Alpha, Beta, Gamma. Immediate termination of all support contracts, stolen by my mentor. The cold-blooded plan that ruined him financially. Was it justified revenge or overkill? Due to a recent acquisition and internal restructuring, all consulting and support services from Omnisys have been terminated, effective immediately. Final payments will be rendered. Arthur didn't see a single lawsuit coming. Instead, he was walloped with 3 corporate termination letters that obliterated his entire income stream. He received 3 corporate notices that 70% of his annual revenue had vanished in the span of 1 hour. I heard from a former employee that the chaos in Omnisys was total. Arthur frantically called the Alpha and Beta executives, only to be redirected to our legal team. When he finally realized that Alpha, Beta, and Gamma were now owned by the same entity, and that entity was implementing a rival software solution, Horizon My Solution, he broke. His antiquated software was worthless without those clients. Omnisys was immediately insolvent. Just 6 months later, karma came around like a freight train. Arthur found himself facing bankruptcy, witnessing his empire collapse like a flimsy house of cards he naively thought was unshakable. His company, Omnisys, was sold for scraps. I saved the final conversation for last. I wanted to soak in the moment, so I casually walked up to him, savoring the utterly stunned expression plastered across his face. I found Arthur sitting alone at a quiet coffee shop near his old office. He looked 10 years older, defeated. I walked up to his table, wearing my tailored executive suit, and sat down. Me. Hello, Arthur. Arthur. Daniel? What did you do? Me. I just modernized the industry, Arthur. You see, engineers build. Businessmen like you just manage the property. But you overlooked one crucial detail. I crafted the very first version, and when you swiped it, you unwittingly gifted me 7 years to create a version that was completely untouchable. Arthur weakly threatened to sue. I smiled and gestured toward the newly rebranded warehouse across the street. Me. You can't sue. I never touched your property. I bought your customers. Obsolescence is perfectly legal. And by the way, Arthur, the patent you stole, it's worthless now. Have a nice day. Arthur Vance never gave me my 50%. I didn't just take back my own, I snatched 100% of his entire market share, leaving him in the dust of his own hubris. Let's be real. The finest revenge isn't served up in a courtroom. It's delivered in the cutthroat business world, where betrayal meets ruthless, calculated efficiency. The final question for you, Mr. Karma's jury: was this financial and legal strike the purest form of karma, or did I go too far in destroying his entire livelihood? Comment below.